Okay, everybody, thank you so much for coming. We'll go ahead and get started now. The microphone, yeah, it's working. Oh, okay. It's just very quiet, so I'm going to also project my voice. So to kick things off, I'm going to introduce the director of the Department of Innovation and Performance, Heidi Norman, to say a few words.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Hi, welcome everyone. I think the smarter half of us is sitting inside in the nice air conditioning, but I wanted to welcome you all to this event. It really and truly is one of my favorite events of the year. When we wrap up, when we wrap up the Pittsburgh, the PGH Lab program, this is our 10th cohort, which is amazing, I know. So in honor of the fact that this is the 10th cohort, my staff's given me a few cool data points to regale you with. So over these 10 cycles, the city of Pittsburgh has partnered with 55 entrepreneurial companies started here in Pittsburgh. 67% of those have had minority, women, and black representation of at least half their founders. So it's been a really diverse crew of entrepreneurs from the very beginning. Next year, we are going to do something that's new for us. When our RFP comes out, one of the things that we're going to be looking for in products and services is those that involve AI for the first time, specifically. So that's going to be really interesting for us. So we haven't delved into that with our entrepreneurial companies a lot, although we do have, of course, some companies here that have also been using AI, but you guys kind of showed us the way, and now we're like, time to take the plunge. Okay, let's do it. So I want to thank all of you, and particularly those of you who are here who support these companies and the entrepreneurs that are working in them. Whether you are their home partners, whether you are cheerleaders from the sideline, whether you are their champions in the city. I learned the term eco-toned. Sorry, so I'm now going to use it. I'm going to apply it in a sentence. So this is an ecosystem, right? And this is the ecotone is the transition of the PGH Lab ecosystem into the wider world. So what I hope for all of our entrepreneurs is that coming out of this experience, that you land the contracts of your dreams, the funding of your dreams. I would love to hear from all of you in the next few months or years. This is what we were able to do by using PGH Lab as a stepping stone to do something really dynamic and wonderful to help make your companies successful. Our current companies that we're going to learn more about tonight are Reclamation Factory. They partnered with Public Works and City Planning, and their product is a recycling, waste diversion, and breakdown of metrics associated with recycled materials. So that is an amazing thing. We need more recycling in Pittsburgh, right? I don't know about you, but I came back from a vacation abroad where I asked someone which trash can do I put the plastic in, and I was like, it's plastic number 4, and they were like, in the plastic bin, and I'm like, right, but which one? It's just a plastic bin. I was like, okay. So I would love that day to come for us. Veridian, they partnered with our finance department, and this is where like the AI action's coming in. They have a product, a 3D digital twin map that was used in our 2025 treasury sale of those properties. I got to play with the map a little bit. I thought it was super cool. Ethos Collaborative, their partner was our Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, and their product is also a digital twin ecosystem, and which I'm so excited that you guys are doing these kinds of things for us. I've been talking to a lot of people inside government about digital twins for a number of years now, and this is the type of thing where I think it's easier for us to get a grasp of what these new to us technologies can really do, and the power and sort of the flexibility and the breadth of things they can do as well. So thank you very much for those. And of course, Make It Home Safe, who partnered with police, and their product, it explores a contactless application that increases the safety of residents and officers when people are pulled over for some kind of traffic violation. That is really important, and we need people to be safe in those interactions, both the people who are driving the vehicles that are being pulled over as well as police. And so that is something that's really important. So, thank you all for coming. Can you tell us a little bit more about the agenda so that we can learn more about what we're doing? Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Heidi. I'm also realizing that I did not introduce myself. So hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Marlena. I'm one of the Civic Innovation Specialists that leads PGH Lab program, along with my my colleague, Trevor Stoll, over here. Excellent. So yeah, the run of show today, we're going to have some videos to showcase our PGH Lab cohort members. Over the last 6 months, they've worked very diligently to implement their products into the workflows of a specific city department. So we've created some videos to showcase the pilots that they worked on with us. And then after showcasing those videos, we'll move on to a panel with some members of the local government to learn about what they're looking for when it comes to procuring products and services. So up first, we have a video from Reclamation Factory.
Hi, I'm Marcel Newman, Assistant Director of Pittsburgh Department of Public Works. Each year, the city sends 80,000 tons of waste to the landfill, which costs taxpayers an estimated $3 million. To reduce both the environmental and financial burden, we're working to boost recycling participation and divert more high-quality recyclables from landfills. But we know we can't do it alone, which is why we're partnering with Reclamation Factory through the PGH Lab program to gather data on local recycling habits. By better understanding how residents recycle, we hope to identify opportunities to make recycling easier, more effective, and more accessible across the city.
I'm Georgia Cruther, founder of Reclamation Factory. Every year in the US, we throw out 40 million tons of plastic, but less than 6% of that is ever reclaimed into something new. Reclamation Factory's mission is to make plastic recycling real, transparent, and affordable for cities like Pittsburgh. We use robotics to automate and vertically integrate the plastic recycling process, reducing the waste, cost, and inefficiencies of traditional recycling by turning trash directly into recycled products. We're able to trace plastic waste from source to destination, so everyone can understand where their plastic waste goes and the importance of recycling. For our PGH Lab pilot, we're conducting surveys to better understand how Pittsburghers recycle and hosting collection drives to gather detailed information on the types of plastic products residents are disposing of.
We're eager to learn more from the data that Reclamation Factory is gathering. These insights will help strengthen our recycling programs while working toward more accessible and effective recycling options.
With the help of the PGH Lab program, we're training our models to better sort, trace, classify, and size-reduce plastic waste, making the material more valuable for manufacturers and keeping it out of the landfill. Ultimately, we want to help cities like Pittsburgh find local and traceable recycling options for all of our plastic waste, both to reach our city's zero waste goals and to support our local manufacturing economy. Visit reclamationfactory.com to learn more.
To learn more about our city's zero waste goals, scan this QR code.
All right, and now I'll turn it over to Georgia to say a few words.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the entire PGH Lab team and to our sponsors at the Department of Public Works. They've helped us so much with understanding the problem set or the problem statement when it comes to plastic recycling and the challenges that exist municipally and in other settings as well, particularly with plastics as a problematic recyclable. Through this program, we got to set some really hard goals for ourselves, and it was a really great and supportive forcing function for getting us to hit those goals. We developed models to identify and sort some of Pittsburgh's most challenging plastic recyclables. Yeah, we're really appreciative of PGH Lab. Thank you, everyone.
All right, up next we have Make It Home Safe.
My name is Sakina White, and I'm the Assistant Director of Public Safety for the City of Pittsburgh. Make It Home Safe is an innovative technology aimed at increasing safety during traffic stops for both residents and law enforcement in the City of Pittsburgh. Through a 6-month pilot with the PGH Lab program, Make It Home Safe will collaborate with the community and the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police. We will gather feedback on the operability of the application and help reshape negative perceptions associated with traffic stops, while ensuring a safe interaction for everyone involved.
Hi, my name's Carlton Vereen. I founded my startup to make sure no one else has to go through the near-death experience I had during a traffic stop, when an officer pulled a gun on me as I was following commands to retrieve my license and registration. Initially, I felt bitter, but eventually I chose to shift my thinking and make a difference. That frightening experience led me to take action and work to change how traffic stops are conducted. By developing a contactless application that provides license, insurance, registration, and other pertinent information to the officer, while also notifying loved ones of the event, Make It Home Safe promotes safer interactions for both sides, enhancing safety and transparency for motorists and police alike.
The Department of Public Safety is committed to exploring new approaches to community and law enforcement relations, with the goal of building mutual trust, promoting accountability and transparency, and maintaining a safe environment.
Our eventual goal is to extend the pilot into a full contract with the city and use it as a model for other police departments across the country. We aim to foster an ecosystem of safety by improving relationships between citizens and law enforcement through collaboration, and become another great invention born in the city of Pittsburgh.
This engagement with Make It Home Safe through PGH Lab, it reinforces the Department of Public Safety's commitment to Mayor Ed Gainey's plan for peace. Our goal is to make Pittsburgh a safe and welcoming environment for everyone who wishes to live here.
To learn more about Make It Home Safe, visit our website at makeithomesafe.com.
Carlton?
Good afternoon. I guess it might be evening now. As you could see in the video, this is very personal to me because when I think about my mother, if something would have happened, and we see the mothers, the impact of mothers when there's tragedy. And how many of us know the most important thing to any of us is our safety? That's the most important thing. And how are we going to make our city safe? How are we going to make our streets safe? And I'm real passionate about this. And that when I developed this, when I had the vision, God gave me the vision on what to do and how to do it, we all know that there are things that you don't see. There's blind spots, things you didn't recognize. Well, the Pittsburgh Labs helped open my eyes to so many different things that we needed to change, that we needed to update. And without this Pittsburgh Labs, we would have never saw them and got the ability to understand how this impacts the community. And so this Pittsburgh Labs, we had tried several times, but we finally made it, was an excellent opportunity for us to demonstrate our product, learn about our product from others, and also scale up our product. And so The most important thing is that we have a safer city and that we have safer streets, because safer traffic stops equals safer streets. Safer streets equals safer cities, and safer cities equals safer communities. And so this impacts everything. It was for me personally, but it turned out to be bigger, because even we know now that there is so much suicide between law enforcement because of the stress and the level of anxiety. This app will reduce that. And I was just in Washington, D.C., me and my wife, we were talking with lawmakers, and we all saw, how many of us saw the lawmakers that were just killed in Minnesota? Had they had Make It Home Safe, this application would have identified those individuals as not being officers, and those individuals, those lawmakers, would be alive today. So I just believe in the lab and what it did and what it gave me the opportunity to do. No city should be without this. We know that things are changing, and now V2V, which is vehicle-to-vehicle connectivity, is something that's coming. We all saw that at CMU with President Trump. The world is changing, and Make It Home Safe is going to make that change safer. So thank you very much. Thank you to the Alpha Lab. Thank you to everybody who helped, my wife, and everyone who helped us. Say that again, sweetheart. Pittsburgh Lab, sorry, and Alpha Labs, who helped get us this far. So we're thankful to Alpha Labs. We're thankful to the URA, because without them, we would not have been able to make it this far. And that we are just excited about the future, because we are going to build this model here that we're going to take to other cities and across the nation and build another great idea that came out of Pittsburgh. Thank you.
Up next, we have Ethos Collaborative.
My name is Mickey Bethune, and I'm with the Policy Bureau of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure. We know there's a growing need to better understand the challenges of maintaining our existing infrastructure and how new developments can impact our city. DOMI has already begun implementing smart technologies, such as our Smart Spines Traffic Safety Initiative and Smart Parking pilots. We also know that sensor technology has the potential to help us more efficiently and effectively identify these challenges, what they are, where they are, and when they are happening. With better insights, we can make better decisions. That's why we're piloting Ethos's digital tapestry platform through PGH Lab.
My name is Damon Weiss. I'm the co-founder of Ethos Collaborative and lead developer of Digital Tapestry, our innovative digital twin platform. I've spent decades of my career planning and designing real-world urban infrastructure. I believe every city has a pulse, a steady rhythm of sensor readings, service calls, fleet GPS traces, and more. This data becomes especially meaningful when it's structured, managed, and applied to decision-making and public response. Our goal at Ethos is to help organizations like the City of Pittsburgh better manage this constant stream of information using digital twin technology for real-time insight, predictive foresight, and fast data-driven action.
A standardized platform or digital sandbox can help city planners, private developers, and most importantly our residents better visualize and understand how proposed changes could impact the way they experience our shared infrastructure. This kind of clarity is a critical first step towards our smart city goals. That's why we partnered with Ethos to help us create this essential foundation.
With Digital Tapestry, users can integrate data from a variety of streaming sources, like traffic cameras, bridge sensors, and real-time weather feeds. The platform combines, filters, and processes these digital threads, weaving patterns of insight on how city assets are functioning in real time. Users can visualize data in new and interesting ways, including digital dashboards, maps, and immersive 3D environments. By mirroring the real world in a digital form, the city will better manage infrastructure, ensuring efficient, informed, transparent, and equitable deployment of resources.
After the pilot, DOMI hopes to integrate this technology into our existing smart tech initiatives, like smart signal management and LED lighting conversions, and to use the platform to strengthen cross-departmental collaboration throughout the city.
And now we'll hear from Damon.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, and thanks to Pittsburgh Labs. This was a really fantastic experience for us. As a civil engineer, we face a lot of infrastructure challenges. Certainly, the city of Pittsburgh has its share, but my background is also kind of this dual background in computer science and programming. I've been programming for a long time, and so this project's actually been a long time coming for me personally. There's been a lot of kind of excitement around digital twins, a lot of visual excitement. The piece we wanted to kind of really tackle was kind of the middleware, the piece that kind of ties all the data together, that unsilos it from the different departments, allows you to kind of merge it and treat it as one normalized source, and then use it in a variety of different applications. It could certainly be used in 3D visualizations or dashboards or any kind of different type of platform, and for a variety of different cases. So the folks at DOMI and the IMP were absolutely fantastic in helping us try to figure out like the next steps. And in 6 short months, we went from basically an idea to a really pretty good working demo that's got some legs to keep moving forward. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Damon. All right, and last but certainly not least, Viridian.
Greetings. My name is Nathan Baker, and I'm a financial analyst with the City of Pittsburgh Department of Finance.
And my name is Amanda Lapata. I'm a real estate sales coordinator with the Department of Finance. Many of the programs we administer have complex legal requirements and processes that are difficult to navigate, preventing many city residents from ever participating.
One major challenge we face is the number of abandoned or dilapidated properties across Pittsburgh. When left idle, these properties can negatively impact neighborhoods and the city as a whole.
Our department's treasurer sale is the city's primary method for transferring blighted properties to responsible, invested owners. But the process itself can be hard to access and understand.
I'm Jack Nelson. I'm a registered architect and the founder of Viridian.
My name is Kira Vickers, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Viridian.
We're an architecture and design firm that uses a multidisciplinary approach to architecture, marketing, and game design to tell complex spatial stories. Through our 6-month PGH Lab pilot, we partnered with the Department of Finance to apply our digital twin platform, Viva, to the treasurer sale process.
Viva is an interactive tool that synthesizes large amounts of data and places it into a real-world spatial context. This makes it easy to explore and understand, no matter your age or digital comfort level. For this pilot, we used Viva to build an intuitive experience that maps available properties and highlights them within the surrounding community.
Most importantly, Viva helps demystify the treasurer sale process, making it more transparent and approachable for residents interested in taking part.
The city will use Viridian's Viva portal to promote the treasurer sale and support residents in making informed decisions before placing a bid. In the past, information about the sale was only available through newspaper listings and physical signage posted on the properties, methods that are easy to miss.
Viva brings this process into the 21st century, offering a more user-friendly way for residents to explore properties and understand how to participate in the sale.
We are so excited to launch Viva ahead of the 2025 Treasurer Sale. We believe this new platform will be a vital tool in helping the finance department sell more properties and reduce the number of vacant and neglected buildings across the city.
You can access the Viva Treasurer Sale property map at the links below, and you can learn more about Viridian's efforts to tell our city's spatial stories at www.viridian.com.
And here's Jack and Kira.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jack. I'm a registered architect. I'm the founder of Viridian.
Oh, and my name's Kira, and I'm our Chief Marketing Officer.
It was really great to be part of the Pittsburgh Lab. I really want to thank the Department of Innovation and Performance and our sponsors, the Department of Finance. You know, when we applied to the Pittsburgh Lab, we proposed the general digital twin concept, but we didn't know who we'd be working with. And whenever we were told we'd be working with the Department of Finance, we were really interested in what they had in mind because, I kind of got into architecture because I wasn't super great at math. So finance was intimidating to jump off from. But whenever they told us that they wanted to start with the treasurer sale, we understood that they, really dialed into what it was that the digital twin is offering and how we can actually deploy this technology in a real world context. Kira, do you want to talk a little bit about our process with them?
Yeah, absolutely. As a marketer and as someone who works closely in architecture, one of the things that came to mind for me was that it's extremely difficult to translate 3D spaces back into 2D information for a website. A 3D space, for instance, what we're standing in right now, it would be so difficult to capture what it looks like or what it feels like to be under this canopy just with words and some HTML or a picture or even a video. But by turning then this 3D aspect back into something that is 3D and interactive, that interactivity is an extremely important aspect of driving empathy for the places and the spaces that are around you. And one of the things that we thought was really important with the map that we put together for the treasurer's sale is that it was able to show important things like schools and bus stops, things that are important to you when you're looking to purchase a piece of property. Where before the treasurer's sale was only a list of addresses in an Excel sheet. This sort of was able to give you that context that you needed to empathize with the space that's around you.
Definitely. And that I think is one of the things that was successful about the deployment. One of the things I'm really grateful for about getting to participate in this process is it wasn't hypothetical. We actually deployed this now in the past tense. The treasury sale happened last week before last. And this was live about a month before the treasury sale happened. So this wasn't something that was just a proof of concept. It was something that we actually got to deploy a service with the city as a genuine first customer. So we're really grateful for that. And we're just privileged and honored to be here. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So up next, I'm going to give the floor over to my colleague, Trevor Stoll. We have a great panel for you that he's going to moderate.
Greetings, everyone. Hopefully these videos kind of helped shed a little bit of light on what we've been working on the past 6 months. Can we get another quick round of applause for all of our companies and their efforts? So for the next portion of our program, and then just kind of in the spirit of general innovation, we put together today a panel of representatives from the city, the Urban Redevelopment Authority, and the county, so we could kind of get a little bit more at the heart of what does it look like to work with these organizations, as well as like standard questions that some people might have. So I'm going to introduce them very briefly, and then ask them to join me up here. We've got our lovely panel seating. First up, I'd like to welcome Lynette Morris from the URA. Excellent. Next from the city, we have Director Jake Pollock. And then rounding us off, we have Lauren Conley from the county. So in the spirit of innovation and community, I'm going to ask that you guys pass this mic back and forth. Collaboration, it's what it's all about. If I can get it out. Okay. So one of the reasons why we kind of gathered you all here today is we've got a lot of companies in the audience, and all of them are asking, what's next? What's that next big windfall? Or how do I even further an engagement that perhaps they've already begun to start? So I've got a couple general questions for you that I want to touch on, and then some specific ones before we open it up to a Q&A. And I might move over here so your eyes aren't staring directly into the sun. Got you. So first off, I kind of want to ask all of you, how do you procure services while reaching a wide and diverse audience? A lot of procurement is often geared towards more established businesses or businesses that perhaps have been in the ecosystem for a long time. So wondering if you could speak a little bit to how you look to procure those services, let folks know about them, and then specifically gear that towards smaller businesses.
Sure. I'm gonna start.
Yes, please.
Well, first off, thank you for having me here, and congratulations to all the innovators and entrepreneurs. It was really exciting hearing about all of your projects and all things we desperately need at the county as well. So I'm with the Department of Economic Development, but I'm going to talk a little about high level the county. So the county has a purchasing department. So our procurement services are housed within the purchasing department. The purchasing department is very accessible, so they have specific agents that oversee specific commodities and services, and they offer office hours. So you're able to reach out to them and talk to them about the service that you have and services that they are currently procuring. We also, as a department, we issue a lot of RFPs, and we ourselves procure services. We work closely with our Department of Equity and Inclusion to make sure that those bid opportunities and those procurement opportunities are actually shared widely. We work with a number of organizations that support small businesses and entrepreneurs, specifically minority women-owned businesses, disadvantaged business enterprises. So we have mailing lists that we reach out to with our own opportunities. The county posts online. They also do post in hard copy newspapers and digital newspapers, so the Post-Gazette and the Tribune Review, but we do have all of those opportunities online. We are always looking to improve how we reach more small businesses, and so I'm joined by my colleague Elissa Dinello, who leads a lot of this work. But we hosted a Doing Business in Allegheny County event this year at the Convention Center in partnership with the city, with the URA, and with a number of our county departments that actually have specific opportunities. And so entrepreneurs and business owners were able to come. It was a free event, meet department directors, meet the purchasing department, and talk about those opportunities. We're really looking to do more of that work so that we can be as accessible as we can.
Thanks, Lauren. Jake Pollack, Deputy Mayor and Director of the Office of Management and Budget for the city, which includes the procurement division, which does the functional equivalent of what Lauren was describing for the county purchasing department. By and large, I think the answers for the city are very similar to what Lauren said about the county, but I want to take a step back because this is I think the third time I've done one of these events out of the past 4 years, and something that's become increasingly apparent to me when talking in particular to folks in your sector, right, working in technology, is the way in which government procurement, whether it applies at the city, the county, the federal government, everywhere, right, it has kind of its own unique set of rules and rhythms that are very different than I think the private sector generally. Some folks can't hear me. Can you hear me better now? Okay, cool. That are important to understand, right? And it really goes back to the time in which the rules around government procurement were set, which is about 100 years ago. And believe it or not, we are still functioning largely under the same state and federal laws and corresponding local laws that were established at that time. And the major thing that they were looking to prevent when the rules that govern how we buy things were set was corruption and graft, right? People directing spending to personal relationships and maybe making some money for themselves on the back end. As a result, those rules are very, very arm's length, right? So whereas I think most of you, maybe in your sector, I think this is particularly true, but in a lot of sectors in business-to-business interaction, right, the rules are around relationships, right? The way in which you identify opportunities is through networking and developing a rapport with the ultimate customer in order to secure that opportunity. And I think that people come to government expecting that it'll work the rest of the world, but of course we don't. Because they were trying to solve a problem very prevalent in that era, we operate based on rules that are very arm's length in nature, and really because of what government was buying at that time, they've become the sort of primary way of doing business, largely in like construction industries. Very, very formal bid procedures, solicitations for responses, right? And that can be off-putting to folks, but there is a degree of transparency and fairness baked into it. And so what we've tried to do is design ways while remaining within that framework that we have to comply with that still makes it approachable for smaller businesses. And we have a very strong commitment at the City of Pittsburgh, as do the other public agencies here represented here, to creating opportunities and clear pathways for firms that are owned by women and minorities to have those opportunities. And so we have a buying plan. The URA participates in our buying plan as well. I can't remember if the county does or not, or if you have your own, but a lot of forward-thinking public agencies are doing this, where we actually identify at the beginning of the year all of the things we intend to be soliciting proposals for the entire year, right, as a way for folks to see those opportunities before they're even released. The actual invitation to get notice of opportunities to bid on work or submit a response to a request for proposals is open to everyone. That there's no gatekeeping to that list. We have on the city website, we have a tool called Beacon. You can create an account, which is free, and you can specify your industry or the types of services that you provide, and you will get notifications about any opportunities that we're releasing in that sector, right? So anything where you could sign up for everything if you want. You would get a lot of emails if you did that. But you can sign up for information about anything that the city is looking to purchase via contract. And then anyone who can demonstrate the appropriate qualifications, of course, is able to submit a bid or a response to a request for proposals. So it is certainly a very formalized process. We take a lot of the same steps that the county is doing about growing everyone's understanding of that. We go to great lengths to ensure that subcontracting opportunities for smaller firms are identified at the front end, and we hold respondents accountable to utilizing subcontractors if we are doing business with a larger firm. But also there are plenty of opportunities that smaller businesses can compete for. The real barrier we found is getting folks to understand where to find that information. So we've tried to make it very accessible, and then coach folks or help provide support to help folks through the process of responding.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lynette Morris. I am the engagement analyst for our commercial lending department at the URA. Now, I'm going to talk not just about commercial lending, but the URA as a whole. Now, when I saw this question about procurement, I'm thinking we don't do many things like, purchasing goods or anything like that. But procurement has a couple of parts of procurement. There's the goods procurement, which is something that's a tangible object. And then there's the service procurement. That's non-tangible, something like consulting. And that's what we do more of at the URA. The URA consults with small businesses to help them with small business loans so that they're able to hire new staff and purchase inventory so that they can take on jobs with the city, with the county, and also government agencies. We educate them on how to prioritize their business and also to do this efficiently and profitably. We provide technical assistance. Now, Jake spoke about a bidding platform. We also have that. That's another part of our consulting. And this is called Ion Wave, and it's very similar to his. It's on our website. It's for businesses to bid on jobs that people come to us requesting jobs to be done, and they're looking for contractors, architects, and consultants. So once they register on the website, again, it's free, you will receive notification of the details of the jobs. In the same event that Lauren was talking about, it was held at Rivers Casino. They do MWB certification that is also on this bidding platform. So the MWB would be for minority and women-owned businesses, and it gives them the same access to the platform. It's very user-friendly, and it's easy to access.
So I actually wanted to stick with you for a moment here, okay. Lynette. So one of the things that you might have seen, or we've definitely seen at the county and the city in terms of that procurement process when working with small businesses. I'm wondering if there are any trends that you've seen, if perhaps common mistakes that companies experience, or common mistakes that you might see in an application from smaller businesses, and perhaps you could shed a little light on how to either avoid those mistakes or perhaps move in a more positive direction.
I would say that to avoid some of the mistakes is to follow us on our website, okay? And we have a lot of things that are on the website that explain some of the things that the URA does. So if they follow us on our website, look at, some of our social media platforms, and even also attending or listening online to the URA, our board meetings. We address a lot of different things.
And where, just to stick with that for a moment, where can our companies find do you guys live stream the board meetings? Is this on YouTube?
We live stream them, and if you go on ura.org, you can follow it. And it also gives people opportunities, once they come to the board meeting, to be able to address the board, but they would have to do that, fill out a form and be able to let them know that they want to be able to respond to some of the things that are going to be occurring.
Perfect, thank you. So I want to touch Jake first, and then Lauren, if we could hit you. Just kind of what are common mistakes perhaps that you've seen in the procurement process from companies, and how do we perhaps avoid those?
I think the the most common, it's a misunderstanding that leads to mistakes, and I touched on it a bit in my first answer, right? I think people think, for understandable reasons based on other business that they do, that there is a direct path between I can't tell you the number of meetings I've taken where someone has shared with me a really, really interesting and exciting service that they provide, or something that their business does. And then they ask, okay, great, as the next step, we'd love to do business with you. Can you maybe even in the course of the conversation, I'll have thought of several ways in which what they're doing might be helpful to us. And they want to proceed from there to talking about establishing a contract and a business relationship. And I have to say, so the next step is I have to meet with 5 other businesses that do the same thing to develop a unbiased scope of services that we'll then put out to a public bid for everyone. And they think, well, we just talked about it. I already know how I can solve your problem, right? And that is a mindset adjustment, right? So understanding that the ways in which we procure services, because as a public institution, we are bound to by a lot of rules that are meant to protect public dollars and also protect the fairness to the public, right? That there is a very standardized process. So I see a lot of folks investing, and I'm not saying don't do this. This program, I think, is a great example about how meeting with and communicating directly with government potential purchasers can help you understand the problem statement that governments have and tailor your product to meeting those needs. But that alone isn't enough. There is also an administrative process of tracking the opportunities when they're out for bid and submitting formal responses that you can't skip, right? The dialogue is important, but the ultimate way to get the work is to go through those established processes.
Right. I'll touch on that briefly. One thing we always say with PGH Lab, our next cohort is getting launched soon. Fill out every question, right, you're touching on. If you read it, if you're not sure, fill out that question, because it's always better to flag later than it is. Yes, leave something blank. Lauren, curious at the county level.
Sure. So I would echo some of what Jake said, in that we consulted with our purchasing department in preparing for this, and they had said, folks not participating in that formal process, so not actually bidding on the project, or feeling that they might not be at the capacity to where they need to be to bid on a project, and not reaching out to their department and being communicative and asking those questions. So, our purchasing department will share previous bids and processes and all of that information to help you build the very best proposal and bid, as part of that process. And, Jake mentioned the buying plan. They can also tell you when those services or goods are going to be procured, so that you're ready for it and you can work towards that. And they advise don't get frustrated if your specific service isn't being procured in the immediate future. Continue that relationship, continue reaching out, tracking those processes, and other. We are a county of 130 municipalities, and sometimes some of the smaller municipalities are actually going out to bid for some of those same things that the county's doing on a larger scale. And then our business development team, so there's the purchasing piece, but our business development team and the divisions within economic development, we procure some of our own services through RFPs and RFQs. We actually just closed an RFP for a housing needs assessment, a countywide housing needs assessment following the lead of the city who already did one, and then a land bank feasibility report. And we got really great questions from firms. And it was wonderful. We issued FAQs, we reached out to everyone that had inquired, we posted those, but that allowed us to make even more useful information available to all of those that were interested in the opportunity. So just never hesitating to ask that question and staying very communicative throughout the process.
So I want to stay with you for a moment because we're talking a lot about communication. We're talking a lot about collaboration. We've mentioned a couple of times the different entities that you work with. So I'm kind of curious, a little bit more of a pointed question for you. Where do you perhaps see opportunities for better alignment between the city and county, especially in the coming future? And how would you recommend that businesses kind of put themselves out there to play a role in that collaboration?
Sure. So we enjoy a very collaborative relationship. I think the three entities that are represented here, both informally and formally. I am the director of the county's economic development department, but I sit on the URA board, for example. And so what I've learned through that process is the URA actually offers a lot of services and assistance to small businesses that we at the county do not offer. And so a lot of time an entrepreneur or a small business will call us and be like, just because I'm on this side of Penn Avenue, I don't get the same loan or grant. And so we've been working collaboratively with the team at the URA as we work to revamp and rebuild our own suite of business assistance products to see if we can help those further align with what the URA has. So there's some consistency there. I think there's some work underway now. Thank you to the leadership of Mayor Gainey's administration and the work that Jake's doing with the disparity study that's underway, helping to identify gaps in our processes and our work and how we can make more opportunities available. That is happening in very aligned fashion, which is something that hasn't happened. I forget when the last time it happened was, but it was a long time ago, and I don't know if it was in the same collaborative way. So that is underway. I think events like the Doing Business in Allegheny County, where we're sitting side by side with the URA, with the city, with other public authorities and agencies, and collectively listening to what some of the challenges are and thinking about how we can solve that together. This is a county and a region that has a lot of fragmentation. We have a lot of municipalities, school districts, all of the things. I think that we're all, working with real intentionality around how we can create more consistent processes. We are looking at the city's recent, permitting and zoning changes around vendor permits and those types of things to see if that's something that we can apply in our own comprehensive plan and in our own zoning and permitting work, so that becomes consistent for the vendor, for the small business. And so you're not, if you're vending, here and then going a few miles down the road and vending somewhere else, it's not a totally different system, right? So I think just continued collaboration, continued work together, we'll see even more of that consistency, which will allow for more predictability and reliability on the entrepreneur side. And I think showing up to the event. So there are a lot of public processes underway right now. There's the city's doing their comprehensive plan, the county's doing a comprehensive plan. We're doing everything we can at within our departments and our work to keep those aligned so that you're not being over-surveyed and you're not being asked to come out to duplicative meetings or events. We're sharing information and making sure that what you are adding to those processes is being collected and informing all of our collective work. But I think showing up, reaching out to us, again, like Elissa and I are here, we have our cards, take it, reach out to us, email us. We're happy to continue the conversation.
Could you say the question again? Sorry.
I certainly can. Yeah, so we're kind of getting at this. We're kind of getting at this thread of alignment between the city and the county.
Sure.
So we're kind of wondering, as we look towards the future, like what does that role look like, that collaboration look like between the city and county, and then how might small businesses help play a part in that or get engaged?
So I won't retread any of the ground that Lauren discussed, because I would agree with everything that she said. Excuse me. But I can think of two additional examples where I think the city and the county are and have to be working together. And they're both sort of heading into new territory, right? So I think we are seeing a dramatic evolution in the way in which we think about human services and behavioral health services in the public space, right? It's true in healthcare too, but like in the public sector, right? When we think about the types of supports that we provide and the programs that we offer to unhoused residents or folks experiencing addiction, right? And that has really become a joint effort where it's difficult to see for most people, and this is by design, where the county ends and the city begins and vice versa, because we have distinct roles and sort of distinct powers within that space, but they have to be working in a completely integrated fashion, right? And that's new, and it's rapidly evolving, right? So the opportunities to support that work technologically, to support it with other types of services, professional services, is rapidly expanding, and something that we are really deep into together. And if anyone has exciting ideas around how to, in this context, sort of technologically support the provision of those kinds of services, street medicine, that kind of thing, really kind of cutting edge stuff from a government perspective. We're really open to new ideas in that space. The other one is broad, but and similarly, rapidly evolving. But candidly, we're thinking together, as folks are all across the country, at how to step into some of the void being left by the rapid retreat of the federal government in providing direct services to people, right? There are so many examples of ways in which the federal government is no longer playing that active role in the day-to-day lives of citizens, and somebody has to do it, right? And so local governments across the country, and I can certainly speak to here, are grappling with those realities every day. So there are many things, many new areas that we find ourselves thinking creatively about how, without any new resources or limited new resources, and a jurisdictional kind of design that doesn't imagine local government doing things like providing not direct healthcare services, but like we're working together around before the cuts. How can we figure out how to bill Medicaid to provide some of the services that we provide, or in the context of public safety, do types of enforcement that we weren't, that were primarily federal before. So that's a very sort of wide open space that's rapidly evolving.
I love that. Thank you. Lynette, I want to hop to you real quick and perhaps pull on this resource thread again that we're coming, especially as we're talking about collaboration, kind of learning what those are. I'm kind of curious if you can speak to, like, are there any surprising areas of work that the URA engages in that companies might not be expecting? And if you could illuminate a little bit on what that might be.
Okay. I would say one of the things that's surprising with the URA, that we are very people oriented. So we not only just advertise what we do online, we go into the neighborhoods. In fact, we call it URA in the neighborhood. We were supposed to go tomorrow to Beachview, Brookline, and the South Side, and we just go door to door to the many businesses and letting them know who we are, that we're here, and this is what we offer. So, we try to do things like that. We're very into just making it easier I go into different community engagement centers. I go into the Hill District and bring our services there. I'm getting ready to start the Hill District. I currently do Homewood, so I do that twice a month. So a lot of the things that we do, people aren't aware, and there's a lot of times people don't even know who we are. So just being able to engage with the community, letting them know we're here, and the things that we can do to assist them.
I love that. And one question too that I guess I have for myself, and perhaps some of the companies might be asking, you have offices downtown with office hours as well, correct? Companies can kind of show up and ask for that direct assistance or residence?
So the URA is located at 412 Boulevard of Outlets. So if someone shows up and you're addressed at the front desk, just let somebody know you're there. Someone will come down and talk with you. I often talk to people who they come to me through the website because I am the first point of contact, and they're interested in some of our resources. And I set up, I send them, even on my business card, there's a QR code for them to go right to our information form, and I reach out to them and I have consultations with them through Teams. So I'm able to talk to them that way. And again, like you said, they can come into the office and we will meet with, or we'll even come to them. Businesses, yes. So if you want to meet off site in a coffee shop in your neighborhood or at your business, we're willing to do that as well.
That's awesome. I love the accessibility there too, kind of meeting folks where they're at. I am gonna hop to Jake real quick and give him a chance to start this question. What regulatory or legal compliance hurdles should businesses be prepared for when looking to work with governmental organizations? We saw in some of the videos, we've mentioned a couple of times, timing, for instance, might be an issue, that regulatory process. But curious if there's anything you would add.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest one is not unique to the business. It's unique to the timing of the process, right? About syncing up, understanding, that we go through a very formal process to solicit, receive, review, and award things, and that can be different than the way a lot of other businesses done. There are other regulatory dimensions. If you're looking to do business with the city, you should make sure that your city taxes are current. That's something that we do check, and I've seen quite a few people get hung up on. It can also then vary by the type of work you're doing. There are a lot of these rules in the construction industry, around procurement, right? Like prevailing wage, which is ensuring that the folks that are doing business with us are paying living wages, or we're governed by a federal law that requires you to procure your steel in the United States. I don't know how much of that would apply to the businesses here, but particularly if you're getting into construction and things like that, there's a lot of things that could be industry specific. We also have some very outdated rules, and I'll speak directly to the architect for a second. We're under state statute prohibited from procuring by design build method. We have to do a separate prime construction method, which is maddening for us in a lot of our capital projects. But so there are some outdated things like that. Really, I would say for folks looking to provide professional services or technology, it's really just make sure that you're in current standing on your city taxes and any other obligations like that, and be attuned to the schedule of procurement notifications. So.
Thank you. If we want to hop over to Lynette real quick, I'm sure there's some overlap going on here, but...
Yes, definite overlap. So some of the same, certain funding sources or certain types of projects like construction requiring prevailing wage, and then all the things that come with that in terms of how you're submitting payrolls and the administrative pieces of that. can be timely and really a full-time job in how you're administering that project through your kind of back office operations as well. And so understanding what the capacity is that's necessary for, I think, the project management and administration of those. So for us, insurance, so I think some folks are sometimes surprised to see what insurance is required. And so, our departments will share what those contracts look like and what insurance requirements are depending on the project. And so would suggest that, because that can be surprising for most, that's something that, you should ask about and we should readily share for you. In addition to county projects, we administer a lot of state and federal funds. So gaming, state gaming funds, for example, that have their own processes and compliance and bid processes. And the insurance is a little different for all of them, unfortunately. And so we, you depending on what type of project you're working on, it's just helpful to ask. And then if I could just add on a surprising resource that we have. So we are, no one ever fully understands what our department does, and I don't know that I totally did until I started working there. We're very comprehensive in nature. So we are the planning department, but also business development agency, housing development agency, and we staff 6 authorities, the redevelopment authority being similar to the URA. And so there's no wrong entry point in our department. So if you have a planning issue or you have a housing, you're working in the housing development space, you can call us and we can route you to the right person. There's no wrong way to enter into our into the county world, I guess. And then we also have a open for business program where it's free. It's no cost, but we can connect you with legal services, business planning, financial planning, and all of those. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, we love an add-on, Lauren. No, please, that's what we're here for. I do want to hop down to Lynette and just give you an opportunity then to talk to, are there any legal requirements or unexpected hurdles that companies can theoretically expect? I'll also echo the insurance thing for the city as well. PGH Lab, our current companies, I'm sure it's still fresh in your mind, their insurance requirements, so that's a big one for us.
Well, in reference to legal, their paperwork must be in order, collateral, all that must be in order, and just that, a lot of things need notarized, or they need to draw up different documents. So just make sure your paperwork is together. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Make sure, a lot of times they sign their closing or different documents and they don't read it. So make sure that they are reading. Some people might even have people that are part of the business that might be in reference to a guarantee. And they don't realize that when you're signing as a guarantee, even though you might not be an owner, if they do not pay, you are required to pay. So that is something that happens a lot. And then also we have a lot of federal government, different regulations with those. Things are different with HUD because we also deal with residential housing, CDBG funding, and so there's different rules for that. Federal funding. So you just have to just be aware of what's out there and what type of funding you're getting and make sure that you are following the rules. And then as a city government agency, economic development agency, in order to work with us, you have to be in the city of Pittsburgh. That is extremely important. If your business is not in the city, we cannot work with you. A lot of people say, well, I'm in Pittsburgh. It's not a city, if it's not a city neighborhood, that would be inclusive of Hazelwood, a city, Oakland's a city, Squirrel Hill, the Hill District, Larimer, Homewood. And so I get that often. They call and they want our assistance, but we cannot assist them because of that. And just like Lauren has said, that we work together with them. So not only do I tell them, unfortunately we can't help you, but I also give them guidance as to other financial institutions that can assist. And one of those is the county. We refer over to them to assist them, even if we cannot.
Just quick clarification. That's for companies looking for financial assistance from the URA. You can do business like with architecture firm that's not located in the city or things like that. The procurement side of things can be anywhere, but if you're seeking assistance from the URA, you have to be based in the city. One thing that I forgot to mention is this is a dimension of timing we haven't talked about before, which is that our procurement process compared to the private sector is slow, right? The amount of time that will elapse between when you initially submit a response and then that response is reviewed and you're notified of an intent to award. We let you know that there's an intent to award, and then we have several stages of due diligence all the way up through a city council resolution that has to be passed and signed by the mayor and entered, given a bill number by the city clerk. Thankfully, the county, you can skip that final step. So there is a lot of time, and it's not us sitting on our hands not paying attention to your file. There's a lot of process on our end, so you will wait potentially longer than you might expect to get all the way through the process. We are very good at paying on time, it's reliable work once you've gotten it, but there is a bit of downtime between when you submit a proposal and when you're actually going to start work.
Since you grabbed the mic, I'm actually going to stick with you for a minute. For one more kind of specific question, wondering if there's any type of ongoing challenges that kind of exist beyond the mayoral cycle. If there's long-standing projects, we talked a little bit about the smart cities up and come, AIs on the horizon, that perhaps might be another one, but wondering if you've identified or have perhaps glimpsed patterns that companies can look out for that might exist beyond mayoral administrations for work.
I think most of the challenges and areas of opportunity, they don't follow that cycle, frankly. They follow the sort of life cycle of a city, right? So regardless of who is what administration is in office at the time, right? We're an aging city, an older city with aging infrastructure, right? The infrastructure challenges, which one is at the top of the pile, it can be dependent on the weather, it can be dependent on historical conditions, but bridges, roads, things of that, landslides, retaining walls, that's a evergreen challenge that we're going to have to confront, dealing with aging infrastructure, a legacy of underinvestment, and climate change, changing the challenges that we face there. Other things, they deal with the nature of our work, right? As the local government in Pennsylvania really boils down to, it's more complicated than this, but it really boils down to two essential powers, right? One the lawyers call the police power, which is not just law enforcement, but it's basically protecting public order, and the planning power, which is land use, right? So several of the proposals, or several of the pilots that we saw here tonight dealt with modernizing the way we interact with with information about real estate, about land, and how, or infrastructure, and how we plan for its future, right? That's we're never ever going to stop doing that, right? There may be different policy priorities about where, when, and how, or what areas of that process we're focused on, but we always need new and more innovative ways to think about and process information about those things. And so that's going to be an area of opportunity for the long haul. I actually really liked the way that Damon put it in the video about talking about all of the data that is created about the status of our physical infrastructure, the way people are moving through the city, as kind of that sort of like biological clock of a city. That's true, and there's so much work to be done because there is so much raw data generated, and it's growing every day. Interpreting and making sense and then making informed decisions out of that data is going to be something that this city, and I think all governments, are learning and growing about for a long time. What decisions the policymakers make with that information will change, but the need to have increasingly granular and real-time access to that information is here to stay.
Thank you. So I do have a closing question, but I just want to open it up very quickly to the crowd. Are there any questions percolating, perhaps from any of the small businesses or the others in attendance, while we have the attention of our esteemed panelists? Georgia.
Let's say that Reclamation Factory responds to an RFP, and so do 10 other companies. What are the different factors and features you're looking at to make a decision between those applications? Are you looking at the cost? Are you looking at whether or not they are located in the city? Are you looking at the services they provide? Are there any other things that you're looking for when you're making that decision?
All of the above, and the request for proposals itself will list in exhaustive detail, frankly, all of the considerations that will go into the review, and even in many cases will tell you the weights that are given to different things. So all that information is very transparent. But yes, the things that we are always looking at are cost, are experience providing relevant and similar services in other instances. It's not your business history with us. You could be responding to your 10,000th request for proposals from us or your first. That's not a factor. But have you done similar work before? And again, also it's okay if you haven't, but that's something that we're going to consider. And then it's factors that are specifically related to the way in which you responded to the problem statement. A request for proposals, in essence, is a very detailed problem statement along with a lot of information about how we will interpret your responses so that you understand when you're answering question 5, how that will be assessed. So I say that to say much of the answer to that question is RFP specific. It will be detailed there, but the most critical things are your capacity to do the work that you're proposing to do, the quality of your response. Cost is, of course, always a factor. And oftentimes, if we're talking about professional services, consulting services or something like that, we ask for information about the team members we'll be working with. So not just your company, but who specifically will be assigned to the work and the amount of time you'll be dedicating of their time to that proposal, because we compare, the qualifications and capabilities you articulate about that team and how much of their time we'll have. Those are big factors.
Yeah, no?
I have nothing better to
Okay.
add to that. That was very comprehensive.
Do you want anything? Okay. Perfect. 5 stars. Oh, we got another question. Here, Carlton.
Thanks. How do you engage if it is a new and emerging technology like making home safe?
Engage in what way?
For a contract with the city, because quite naturally you wouldn't have an RFP for this because it's new and it's new technology.
Right. So that's a great question, right? And it is something, just being totally candid, right, that the rules that govern how we do this don't set us up well for, and we have to be creative about how we do that, right? The rules that we have were written at a time when 99.9% of the things that the city procured or a government procured by contract were commodities. How much road salt are you buying, or construction services, right? There wasn't much technology to speak of at the time. The way that we do that, something like that, is when we become aware. This is an area where making the your technology known to us or is really important, because it will spark get our thinking going about that type of service. What we can't do, though, is provide exclusivity, right? So what we would need to do is, you make us aware of a problem statement that you think you have an answer to, and we, through that engagement, learn and decide that we think this is something we need. We will still then need to develop an RFP and put it out publicly, knowing that hoping that you'll respond, but also needing to basically solicit the rest of the world in case someone also is working on the same idea. and hasn't, we haven't met with them, they also get a fair chance to respond. We're not, there are no circumstances in which, or extraordinarily limited circumstances in which we can say, we want to award it to you because you were the first person to bring the idea to us. Usually we will have to go through a cycle of learning about it from you, designing an RFP that anyone could respond to, and then putting it out to the whole world to see if there are others who will respond.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll also have a quick shameless plug about PGH Lab, one of the city's great ways to let folks know, at the city specifically, what's going on in the wider ecosystem. We have time for maybe one more question, if anyone's got a burning one. Okay. Then just to kind of wrap us up and in conclusion here, one final question. Are there any large projects at the county, at the city, or RA that you guys are engaging in that we just kind of want to give a shout out as an FYI upcoming before we close out?
Sure. So we are underway in our comprehensive plan, and as things are bubbling up in terms of how the public wants to interact with county departments, but then also economic development priorities, we expect there to be a number of projects and services that we then seek coming out of that planning process. So just another plug for participating in that is really important in also sharing, that you do have potential solutions to some of these things. So in economic development, we're going to be putting out an RFP for professional services for a technical assistance provider for our Main Streets program. So that will be going out within the next few weeks. So we're looking for a technical assistance provider to support municipalities in planning for their business districts within their community. And these are the communities that sit outside of the city of Pittsburgh, but within Allegheny County. We also, this is one of those projects that will probably live beyond multiple administrations, and many of our big economic development projects do, like Hazel Green and others. But the Brilliant Line, we've acquired the Brilliant Line, and that connects the Homewood Larimer communities all the way over into Aspinwall and the new Allegheny Shores development. And so we'll be putting out an RFP for design and engineering services, and then that will move into construction, and then that will move into what do the on and off ramps look like, and what does the real estate development look like around some of those nodes. So that process will begin in the fourth quarter of this year. We've started conversations with the city and with the URA, just in making sure that the scope of that, includes everything that folks want to see happen along the Brilliant Line. So it's a former rail line that will become a bike pedestrian trail. So 2 examples.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry. There's probably more.
There are just an enormous number of upcoming projects at the city in a whole variety of sectors. I'll just pick 2 examples. Well, one programmatic example and one specific project. Beginning in January of 2022, after the collapse of the Fern Hollow Bridge, right? Bridge evaluation, preventative maintenance, rehabilitation, sometimes full replacement and reconstruction, and everything that entails has been a major focus of ours and will continue to be for a long time. And the number and breadth of services that we're looking for there, it can be kind of surprising. Obviously, there are engineers and architects involved in that work, but there are also technology companies too in utilizing drone footage in ways that we hadn't thought of before to conduct aspects of those structural assessments in ways that are faster, cheaper, and in some ways more detailed than what we were able to get before, right? So there's some cutting edge things happening in that space, but we're going to be focused a lot on bridges for the foreseeable future. That's the programmatic answer. In terms of a specific one, just to give you a sense of something very large that is coming, the city's getting ready to procure a new enterprise resource management system. This is basically our accounting and financial back end for the entirety of city government, running from when the money comes in the door through taxes all the way through its movement through thousands of sub-accounts that support work across our dozens of departments. And that's probably in and of itself a 7 or 8 year process from beginning to end, to from beginning to do our initial assessment of what we need and designing further solicitations to developing the project, implementing it, switching over, user testing, all of that. Just a massive undertaking. And we do think, we have many other systems that will have knock-on impacts from that, whether it relates to our HR technologies, our asset management technologies, right? There's a pretty significant sort of generational transformation in those systems that's on its way.
I don't know any of the technical things that are going on. Jake is on our board, URA board, so he probably knows more of the things that are going on in that area. But I just wanted to bring up that, because I work with businesses, we are going to start, well, we've had it before, but I'll be part of that in reference to business and main streets. So the main streets in the city of Pittsburgh, we're going to start meeting probably quarterly with the Main Street organizations, the community development centers, and so that we can find out what's going on in their neighborhoods, and also to connect more with the public in those neighborhoods and the businesses in those neighborhoods to make sure we know their needs in those neighborhoods. So that would be more closer to my end.
That's awesome. Yeah. So be on the lookout then for a little bit more of some Main Street work coming from the URA. Awesome.
As we start our Main Street program, City County, Main Street.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you all for your time, your questions, and your thoughts here. Can we get another round of applause for our great panel? Awesome. For everyone else, we do still have some time to hang out. If you want to peep over to the screen, we've got some QR codes for everyone's LinkedIn, as well as a contact for Lynette. There is AC inside if you need a quick cool off, as well as I believe there are still some snacks and some water. So by all means, please feel free to network, and thank you for your attention and time.